I lost my daughter in 2004, my daughter Katie, and in 2006 I lost my son Noah. After the loss of my daughter Katie, I tried to behave like every other man or was raised to be, or every guy was raised to be, was to be tough. And I thought my role was to take care of my wife and to don't talk about my emotions. I was raised in a blue-collar family. You were taught to toughen up, and if you had problems, you didn't talk about it. You just kind of kept it to yourself. I actually had worked with a guy that just kind of offered his time to meet with other guys that were dealing with some tough stuff. And it was that conversation I had with him, and I kind of told him my story about losing Katie and Noah. And the first thing that came out of his mouth was, "That's a heavy load, man." And it was like him saying that was kind of like a turning point for me, because here it was, another guy sincerely acknowledging the pain I was feeling. I realized I needed to start a blog. Within a month, I was surprised to see how many people had emailed me wanting to participate in the book. I heard from people all over the United States, Canada, Europe, Australia. That went on for several months. And about 4 months into it, I decided, I need to go out and start traveling to meet these dads, because I wanted to do face-to-face interviews. I wanted to be personal. I wanted to be with that person, both of us telling our stories and having real honest conversations. So one of my first interviews happened to be in Ohio. So this was the first time this gentleman has ever told his story. And he shared that with me, because I've never told anybody this. I don't talk about it. The pain when he tells the story of taking the nap on the couch with his son laying on his chest, and then waking up and realizing his son had passed. He dealt with the guilt of feeling like maybe he had something to do with it, and the anger of how could this happen to me. And so to see the power of him telling that story for the first time was it was a powerful experience, not just for him, but also for me, because here it was, one of my first interviews, and he's trusting me as the first person he's telling the story to. I think a lot of grief books miss that point, that the death of a child is trauma. And that's one of the chapters in my book. We talk about society's expectations on men. It's okay for a man to be angry because that's what we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing men being angry. But if he's crying, it makes people uncomfortable. When I go to the bookstore or look for something that I needed to help me as a guy, there wasn't anything there. There was not a book strictly for men and men's grief. Here's some guys that are going through what I'm going through. Maybe not the same circumstances behind the death of your child, but the dynamics of what I'm feeling is very similar. The book was also written for the spouses and the loved ones in these guys' lives, as well as caregivers, the nurses, the chaplains, the people that are on the scenes, the pastors that work with them, so they understand what these men are dealing with. About a year ago, I decided to sit down and start looking at potential publishers for this book. I reached out to about 35 high-profile literary agents. Some responded, some did not. The ones that did respond, in essence, what they were telling me was, although this was a noble cause, it wasn't profitable. So they decided to take a pass on this project. Obviously, I disagree with that, and my goal is to prove them wrong, because I think they are wrong. I think men will buy these type of books if they're available. We need $18,000 to make this book happen and to put it into the hands of the people that need it the most. We need the money to print the initial 1,000 copies. To develop and format an ebook version of this book, our ultimate goal is to initiate a national and international publicity campaign using a publicity firm. With books already being pre-ordered, not just in the United States, but also in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, it's important that we also reach out to the grieving dads in those countries as well.